We good to go? What's up, everybody? It's Kyle over at the Lead Tool. Chase is going to be popping in here. I want to welcome everybody to another edition of In the Lead Off the Record, where we give our 2 cents on kind of what's happening in the marketplace. Hopefully there's a couple things you guys can pick up and implement right away within your organization, or even put it in the pipeline for use down the road. Today we're going to be talking a little bit more about customer experience, or what does that even really mean. For those of you that are following us, obviously at the Lead Tool on Facebook, at the Lead Tool on Twitter and Instagram as well. A lot of great content down there. Feel free to chat into us too, ask questions, comments. We love hearing from everybody. But in the meantime, today's topic with customer experience, it's something we talk a lot about in here in terms of how we approach our customers, and also, within a retail setting, kind of, what's happening across the landscape in a variety of industries. Whether it's, your traditional retail landscape with your Macy's, Fry's, things of that nature, all the way down to your retail lumber yards, flooring dealers, things of that nature. That's really been happening over the last 5 years, but it's really taken on a whole another level over the last year or so, with the changing consumer dynamics. So, a couple of things that we want to talk about is what you're going to be able to do in terms of embracing this type of change to attract this consumer.
Well, actually, I want to stop you there, because I think the problem is that we've talked a lot about customer experience, but we've never defined it. And before we can talk about all these things that we can do or you can do, people need to understand what it is. Because one of the reasons that retail is falling apart and has already fallen apart, all of the 8,700 store closures or something this year?
Yeah, Credit Suisse.
Is because they don't even understand necessarily in a lot of cases what a customer experience is. Like, how do you even define the term? So
which is different than customer service.
Right. Yeah, service is part of it. It's
that's
like,
more of a reactive approach in nature.
Yeah, experience encompasses everything. It's kind of like the difference between like a CRM and something like a scheduling tool.
Sure.
Or having a scheduling feature in CRM, or like whether it's it's a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
It's like, email marketing is part of CRM, after sales, like all that. So
sure. It's
like customer experience itself is the cornerstone of what everyone really should be focusing on, particularly in retail. And while we're super bullish and huge fans, let me rephrase that. While we're huge fans of traditional retail, obviously
a lot of benefits to it.
Yeah, obviously traditional retail businesses have not been adapting to serve customers the way they want to be served, and I think that goes back to a fundamental lack of understanding. I don't know if it's a misunderstanding, a lack of understanding, but kind of a lack of...
You don't know what you don't know.
Lack of familiarity with customer experience. So like in your new slide deck, we've got a brand new deck that we're using. We change our stuff all the time when we're selling. We change our talk tracks. We change our... everything we're doing, we're always optimizing it, whether it's our marketing material, our sales material, our talk tracks, our
with
decks.
The customer in mind, right?
Right.
That's why we do
because it's a fluid thing. It's like sales process is really fluid, so it's not like a fixed like Bible per se. So in that deck,
we're not using what we used 5 years ago.
Right, and in your deck, you were talking about how things had gone, how sales had evolved.
Yeah.
Like everyone used to think that, and a lot of people still think sales is about relationships. It's not. Actually, sales is about insight and value. There's a lot of great research that's been done by, it's not Conference Board, I forget who it is, but it's 2 Harvard professors who put out the Challenger sale. So it's not about relationships, it's not about people walking in, it's about providing insight and value, which creates an experience because you're providing insight and value. So I think that's like the first thing is what the hell is customer experience? So I think that's a really good place for us to start. I'll throw my 2 cents in. Customer experience refers to all of the interactions you have with a customer throughout the entire course of doing business with them. So
that's not just in the store too, right?
It's outside. Yeah, it's the whole, every interaction. So now there are multiple channels through which, like, look, we're broadcasting on Facebook Live, right? So we're interacting with customers this way. We've got your phone just started blowing up.
Yep.
So you get phone calls, you got social channels, you've got email, you've got all these different ways you're interacting with your customers. That's all part of the experience. So at the core, what it is it's how your customers interact with you while they do business with you, whether that's coming to your website, calling, all of that stuff. So like diving in and getting a little more detailed on that. A great example of part of the customer experience is, what is your approach when someone walks into your place of business? How do you approach them? What do you say to them? How, part of your sales process, that's part of your customer experience. We've talked about sales process before. I'm not going to re-enumerate all of that.
After we can go with that.
Yeah, so that's already out there. But, what questions you're asking, and then, what happens after that part? Do you send out a thank you note for an inquiry? Do you send out a thank you note for a closed sale? What is the after sale experience like? And even before getting to that, how does the actual business transaction between you and your customer take place? Do they can they come to your place of business and then complete a transaction without coming back? Do they even need to come to your place of business to complete a transaction with you? We don't necessarily meet all of our customers, save for at trade shows. Yeah. But we'll sell people over the web.
Video. There's a lot of different things, a lot of different ways to create that experience.
When I was in brick and mortar, I sold a lot of my vehicles without ever meeting my customers.
That was the majority of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, probably 60-70%.
That was, 10 years ago, 8 years ago, something like that?
Well, hell, I'm not that old.
I don't mean to date you.
That was like 7 years ago, probably. Okay. So even 7 years ago,
that was ballpark, dude.
Yeah. So even 7 years ago, though, we were doing brick and mortar auto sales, retail auto sales.
Right hard to right at the tail end of the recession.
And selling high end stuff. Awesome. Yeah. So, but our customer experience was centered around making it easy for our customers, and this is probably a great example. To do business with us just in general. So removing the points of friction. So
huge. How easy are you making it to buy from you?
Right, and we did either a podcast or webinar on that, or maybe both. So what happens if they don't want to come into, what would I do with a customer who didn't want to come into a showroom, they only wanted to communicate via email? I would email them, and then when they were ready to come in, it was all, you interact with them where they want to be interacted with.
Which is, to the point where we're broadcasting today, is that your customers are on a lot of different channels now.
Right, and it doesn't make sense to be on channels where your customers aren't, and you've got to be on the channels where they are.
So knowing your audience, right?
Yeah, you've got to know that. So I would work with some of the email until if they were ready to come into the showroom and test drive the car, we would have the car ready for them. It would be here, throw me your license. I'd have everything ready to go. Test drive form already filled out, copy license and insurance. Throw them the keys, they're off, they come back. And if they didn't want to set foot in the showroom again, we could literally FedEx some paperwork, even if they were local. And when they weren't local, that was how it works. Just to recount that, someone would literally call me, want to buy a $100,000 car, negotiate the price,
right,
overnight the paperwork, send them a FedEx envelope to overnight the paperwork back, signed. They'd wire us the money. I'd throw the vehicle on a truck, and then the truck would deliver it. I'd never meet them. That's customer experience. It made it easy to buy. We were doing and thinking about it this way, the little things that matter, including an overnight return envelope that's prepaid for FedEx for paperwork.
Yeah.
So this is getting back to things.
Little things.
Yeah, how you walk through that entire transaction. Then after the sale for local customers, we did a lot of things number one, we checked in with them periodically on the sales side, but on the service side, we had an enclosed trailer, we could go pick up cars. We had dedicated drivers that could bring a loaner to you and then take your car into service. So again, making it really easy for our customers to stay our customer, and it's just making the customer
You want them to keep coming back.
Making it easy for your customer to be your customer.
Yeah.
Right?
Not giving them a reason to go test the waters somewhere else.
Right. So it's this whole what happens before the transaction, what happens after the transaction,
what happens during the transaction.
Right, during the whole full circle, the entire thing. So, if you have to, like a lot of our customers, the reason we built the e-signature tool is because they complain about their customers having to come back to their place of business to sign a sale contract or purchase order agreement.
Yeah.
So we built an e-signature tool, so that's getting released, and now they don't have to worry about that. They can, it's a better experience for their customers.
So let's shift to like what that experience looks like right today, and most stores and dealerships and showrooms around the country that we talk to, Ben, and and this is a pretty common thing for a lot of consumers out there. A lot of times it's the bare minimum, right? You walk in and they ask you, can I help you with anything today?
Yeah, if they even approach you. I mean, we hear all the time.
Yeah. And usually stand behind a counter or desk or talking amongst yourselves.
Well, you and Dan did some mystery shopping one day at a local retail yard, and they damn near wouldn't even talk to you.
Nobody talked to us until we walked to the back corner, and at that time the only reason why somebody came up was because we dropped something on the floor, a piece of decking that we were looking at on accident, and that kind of got their attention. But other than that, nobody approached us.
That's a crap customer experience. That's awful. If the only time you're paying attention to someone in your store,
I'm not saying this is something that everybody's doing all the time, but
it's not.
It's common enough where a lot of consumers have that.
It's obviously hard for people to buy from brick and mortar retail right now, given the fact that close to 9,000 stores are projected to close by the end of just because it's
pretty shocking.
Some of that's apparel. Well, yeah, some of it is apparel.
Sure.
Some of it's electronics. Some of it's
there's not one particular industry that's taking the brunt.
Retail in general is not immune, and we've been saying, and you might want to punch me for saying this, but I think retail in a lot of ways is the next Big Short.
Sure.
We're looking around, everything's imploding, and people are thinking, oh, it can't happen to me because I'm in this sector of retail. No, if you're brick and mortar, what happened to Sears, what happened to H.H. Gregg, it can happen to you. And these, a lot of people get so caught up when they do get busy, like we've talked about, and they're like, oh, if you don't have time to make it easier for your customers to transact with you, you're eventually going to go out of business.
And let's be honest, anybody that's been in retail knows from 8 to 5, 9 to 6, 10 to 6, 10 to 8, whatever it is, you are not jam-packed, filled to the brim of consumers taking up your time every single day. I mean, malls aren't even like that anymore. A retail flooring location damn sure isn't like that anymore. Retail lumber yards. I mean, across the board.
Yeah, and what's crazy?
So you can't tell me that you're so busy you don't have time in your day to not only capture your customers' information and then turn around and actually pick up the phone and call them to check on an order, to check on a sample, to see how that installation went, whatever it may be. So, to be frank with you, it's a load of crap, and that's a customer experience.
But that's why retail is in the condition it's in. It doesn't have to be, and it's like we either talked about this the other day or it's on the blog or something. I wrote a post on it. It's so easy to use your store location or your yard location. It's easy to use your physical place of business to your advantage if you actually bother to use it and make it
truly is an advantage.
Well, because you look at the reason that
people love buying
that the e-commerce model is working so well is because companies like Restoration Hardware will set up a showroom somewhere. And they'll, model it like we were talking about Perch doing, where they have a spa. Basically, you can test out shower heads by showering at a Perch showroom.
Lowe's. I just saw an article about Lowe's incorporating virtual reality VR goggles for the DIYer going in there to learn how to tile a bathroom.
Yeah,
that is what I'm talking about.
It's making people excited about the transaction with you.
They're not only interacting with that product or whatever they're buying, they're interacting with your brand.
But the reason the e-commerce model has worked is because Restoration Hardware sets up a physical location so you can go look at stuff, but you can shop on their website and see everything, their inventory, their pricing, whole nine. They'll reach out to you and they have a personal concierge. So it's oh, you need help? Great. You can now get help decorating your home from your couch talking to a rep at Restoration Hardware. That's awesome, and there's no reason with all of the excellent...
You can't do it too.
There's no reason with all the excellent tools out there, the intercoms of the world, that, you know, if you've got a rockin' website and you're showing, we've talked about listing your inventory and stuff like that, again, your customers might not, like, they want to interact with you. There's this myth that customers don't want to talk to salespeople. Totally. They want to talk to salespeople. It's just they want to do it the way that they want to do it, when they want to do it. That's why we're on Facebook Live and we're not doing some, like, you know, I don't even know what people would do before stuff like this, but, you know, you have to go where your customers are and they want you to be. So there's, if your customers want to chat into you off your website and they want to see your products and then chat you and then decide they're going to come in, awesome, just do it. You know, for $49 a month, you can get intercom chat on your website. Or $89, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's about making your location a destination.
Well, yeah, and you give them a reason to come in. I mean, if you don't interact with them before that, they're never going to show up on site. I mean, it's taking, for these high-ticket purchases, it takes months. People research.
Yeah, we're talking like 4 to 5 months.
And while I don't think, you know, websites, I think the importance of websites is there, but I think in how they're being built and the content they're displaying, I think it's a whole other thing. But point being, the customer experience is just this transaction. It's before a sale, it's during the sale, it's after the sale. Everything that, like, every interaction that takes place, that is the customer experience.
Yeah, I think a good point to make about this too is you actually have to take the time out to learn and understand what all of this can do for you to create this experience before you just start doing things and throwing darts at the wall hoping it'll work. Everything works a little bit differently in terms of the channels that you're going to go through and how you create this experience.
Well, no, and that's a great point, because, like, we talk to people about following up with leads, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, I just need to follow up with my leads. So they get, like, you know, a basic lead management tool or what, a million free ones out there.
Yeah,
and sign
you
up
can't
for
just press play.
A free CRM, and they're like, oh, I need to do it. And it's like, without thinking about, you know, okay, that's one of the things that you need to do. Yeah, that's a really high ROI, low-hanging fruit, but you also need to think through, like, so if you just decide to start following up with people, but you're still sitting at your back desk eating pizza when people are walking through your showroom, like we've seen and we've read about on Yelp, then it's, you know...
you can't just press play on this.
Yeah,
you can't.
Well, you have
this is something you have to constantly work at, constantly tweak, and add and take away things that work and don't work over time. It's not something you just...
It's a whole approach.
Set and say, okay.
And look, it's just building blocks, to quote a very wise man and good friend of mine. It's just, I take the building blocks and I put this one where I need it to go. And this is someone who's very experienced in retail and e-commerce. It's just a matter of stacking the building blocks up the right way. So I think that you know, there's a lot to be gained there. I think it's not super complex stuff. It's
just gotta make the move.
Stuff people. So it's weird, and I talked about this when I ran the breakout session at Shaw, the sales breakouts at the Shaw convention.
Yeah.
Everyone walks in their place of business, and then all of a sudden they forget that how they want to shop and how they want to do things. Yeah, it's awesome.
Because we're all consumers. We're all consumers too.
You know, you get all worked up about something when someone doesn't have their stuff on their website or something like that, or you can't call in and get a price. Like, people get pissed off because a price for a car is not listed on their website. And then they walk into their business and they're like, I don't need a website. Yeah. I don't need to do this. I don't need to follow up with my customers. And it's like,
or as simple as getting a new phone, right? I mean, who doesn't have a phone nowadays? I'm not talking about a landline, people. I'm talking about a smartphone or even a flip phone, whatever it may be. Everybody's got a phone.
Yeah.
And think about that experience when you go into your Verizon, your AT&T, your Sprint store.
Well, we've talked about this. It's why I buy my iPhones from Apple and not from Best Buy, because the experience is better. I can get in and out of the showroom faster.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter which one of those you go to. Every single one of them is going to have somebody with an iPad greeting you, taking your name down, and either telling you we'll be with you in 10 minutes or... somebody will walk right over to ask you what kind of phone you're interested in today, or what do you have today.
And I'll raise you one step further. Wendy's will, when they get crowded, someone will walk out and take your order for a $10 meal tops with an iPad. And you look at these other industries that have multi-thousand, tens, hundreds of thousands of dollar sales, like you see in home improvement, even if you're talking about a $1,500 flooring install, and they're like, I don't need to deliver that, or I don't need to look that professional in my business. And it's like, no, well, actually, like, you do, and that's going to become more and more prevalent as our generation, the younger.
And even for things like the professional home builder, they expect a different experience.
Yeah, well, because as we're moving up, like the people in the leadership roles at these companies, the B2B customers, everything that happens in the business to consumer world will and always does and always has trickle over into business to business. So just because you can be sloppier today if you're wholesaling doesn't mean that in 2 years you can be that sloppy.
Yeah.
So you in terms of, I forgot to do this or I forgot to call out, they're going to call me back. Yeah. I know we were seeing towards our tail end of the time running our distribution yard. I mean, business was getting tighter and tighter. Business is still running, but we had 100-something-year-old name, and loyalty is so not what it was.
No,
so you need to, back to your point, you need to look like a pro. If Verizon can do it, hucking $100 cell phones, if you're selling $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 a pop, like look like a pro.
Yeah, and here's
that's part of the experience. How you present yourself. That's part of customer experience.
So let's talk about some of the things they can do with that, right, and create this experience. Like, we talk a lot about these companies that will spend a ton of money getting these new product racks or new product displays or whatever it may be, and it just looks cluttered. It looks like you walk into a showroom and you got...
It's like walking into an auto parts store.
Like, yeah, exactly.
You don't know what the hell anything is.
Now, let me throw this at you. We could talk about equipping your sales reps with the iPads and things of that nature, which we will, but how cool would it be if you walked into a showroom and you're looking at flooring and it didn't have 30 different product racks or 100 different product racks or swatches laid out all over the tables. Instead, you had different stations with iPads that had a product display you can flip through, right?
Well, you can do that. I mean, you
can then visualize, if you had VR goggles, and visualize what my room is going to look like.
Well, I don't know who can afford VR goggles outside of the
I mean, if people are spending $3,000 for a rack product, you can afford a pair of goggles.
Well, and I mean, I think a lot of those product displays cost even more than that.
That's my point.
But the other thing too is you can now it's easy to build stuff. Hey, where is this flooring going?
Yeah.
What room is it going in? Where do you have a finished basement? Do you have, and like you select, you kind of have this decision tree on an iPad, and it tells you what to look at.
Yeah.
If you don't want to talk to a salesperson, all that stuff is becoming
as a sales rep, you have your iPad out. There's apps out there where you can digitally design what that showroom's going to look like. So again, it's about creating this experience for the customer, where then now, me, the consumer, I can visualize what this flooring is going to look in my showroom, or what this different type of tile, carpet, whatever it may be, what it's going to look like in my home. It's all about giving them
want them to
experience.
fall in love with stuff before
this is a destination too, right? I don't know a lot of people spending their time on a Saturday morning at a flooring store or a retail lumber yard just doing some window shopping.
Yeah,
I don't know a lot of people that do that.
I just wanted to check out the roofing.
Exactly, but here's a cool thing. Millennials, now have the highest purchasing power of any generation. They are spending the second most in terms of remodels to remodel their home currently. They are buying the most homes in the marketplace. So this is a generation that's already here. If you're not seeing in your local market, it's coming.
Well, they demand the technology.
They love
destinations. That article in I quoted it in the blog post. It was from Forbes or Fortune. And it's millennials expect this technology. They expect the experience. They demand it, and they expect everyone to just keep up.
Coming back to the destination piece,
Well,
they
'cause
love it. They love hanging out. At
Well, they
places.
love it, but like if you don't give it to them, they're just going to go to Wayfair.com.
Yeah,
they're going to
exactly.
Google it.
They're gonna
gonna
go
find
where it
They're
is.
they don't care.
Yeah, they'll
they
go where
want
it
what
is.
it's customers don't care about you. They care about them.
Yeah.
So
if you can create this destination for them to come, they're the home buyer, the millennial home buyer, looking at a particular home or they buy their home and they're looking to redo their kitchen. If you can create an experience where they could come in there and actually cook, which a few stores that we're talking to right now have actually done. They can cook on a new oven.
Yeah,
they
it's
can
just
take a
like
shower.
Perch.
They can take a shower.
Perch has a chef that will come in on certain days and like cook for you, and
So-
like you can hear. And
So again, they've created this destination and these experiences that not only millennials but any generation loves to have. Because at the end of the day, I mean, everybody loves to see things and try things out and visualize how it's going to look.
and
in their home.
that's experiencing the product, which is part of or the product or service, which is part of the customer experience.
Exactly.
So it's all these little things, and they come together in a very big way, and it's very easy for brick and mortar, I think, to take advantage of that. I mean, basically, you need to look no further than Apple.
I mean, I can't do that online.
Look at Apple's. Well, you're right, but where the e-commerce companies are killing it is they make it so easy to get the information about the products they sell.
Yeah.
And then they make it really easy to transact.
Yep.
So where brick and mortar has faced issues is they're not making it easy to get that information that they want. People don't know what's in stock. They don't know what brands, wines, products, whatever are carried. And then they can't transition from the web to the store. So it's really easy, to be able to draw people in, get them into the showroom. The showroom's clean. It's laid out in a thoughtful fashion. That's experience. The sales staff has presented themselves as professionals. They're not in the back eating pizza. I love that Yelp review so much. The Yelp reviews are, if you want to see what not to do, go on Yelp. After sale, what are you doing for your customer after the sale? Are you keeping up with things that they're interested in, that they're looking at? All those kinds of things. So
I think that where we would love to leave you at is, for those of you already heading down this path, hats off to you. That's fantastic. For those of you that want to start going down that path, I would start with thinking about what you want that experience to look like for you. And with that being said, feel free to follow us again, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, as well as Instagram, at the Lead Tool across the board.
Yeah, we're gramming.
All the time. We class it up every now and then as well, or at least I do anyway.
Well, I'm cheap help. So.
Yeah, exactly. But
that's all I am.
Thanks for checking us out today. We're going to be doing more of these every Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Feel free to share far and wide. We'll be talking about different topics. If there's anything that you want to talk about or you want to have more knowledge around or more substance, chat into us. We read everything on there. We'd love to hear from everybody. Otherwise, like I said, thanks for joining us today, and we look forward to next time.
Yeah, and shoot us an email if that's easier too. Kyle@formegroup.com, Chase@formegroup.com. We will see everybody soon.